Hi, this is Greg Luss, the city manager in Lebanon, New Hampshire. Welcome to Lebanon in Depth, and today I'm happy to say that I'm joined by our mayor, Georgia Tuttle. Georgia and I are celebrating the end of the year. This is our holiday show for the holiday seasons, and where we have, as everyone should have, although you got to watch your diets, we do have with us today some delightful eggnog, and we also have some delightful Christmas cookies from one of our local grocers, and this is from our local dairy in the area. So it's quite rich. I really love eggnog. Some people don't like eggnog, but I really do. But I don't. You know, my wife says I got to keep it out of the house. I'd be drinking gallons of eggnog. I mean, you try to watch try to control your weight expansions during the holiday season. A bunch of eggnog like this is too much to ask for. But Georgia, welcome, and I think it's always interesting we start our shows when persons are on our shows to just, even though many people probably already know all the kinds of things about you, it's interesting. Some people don't, because I find new people all the time coming to Lebanon and they watch our show. And but basically, you're our mayor, and you're foremost one of our council members, which is the way the council operates. A great kind of democracy of all 9 being equals. But could you first tell us a little bit, how did you get into city council? How did you get into the mayor role in the council?
Well, I actually got involved initially with our zoning changes that we were trying to implement about 8 years ago, going to meetings and seeing how interesting city government was, getting to know a few people and getting involved in the controversy. So I ran for city council and got elected, and then we are a strong city manager form of government, and so the mayor is elected by the council. And I'd had a lot of leadership experience in that realm on a national level, and so I ran for mayor, hoping I could bring some procedural skill to the council that I'd been fortunate enough to pick up. So that's how it happened.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. And in terms of, I know you said you have so many interests. Your profession, for those who don't know, is what?
I'm a dermatologist.
And you're also very active in the national scene with regard to medical association. What's the activity there for you?
I'm on the board of trustees of the American Medical Association, where we're working to improve the health of the nation through diabetes and hypertension control. So we've got a whole bunch of national programs. We're working with the YMCA. So it's been a really exciting 4 years doing that, traveling to Washington, working on health system reform.
That's really wonderful. I'm glad we have people like you up there and working. And associations are such wonderful things because they bring professionals together from across all boundaries, and you have them from all over the world in the United States. It's just amazing amazing. People amaze me. Some of the persons, how much they know and what they think about and ideas like that. And today, maybe we could also mention the role of mayor in the city council in Lebanon. Some people have misimpressions of the role of mayor. I mean, even sometimes the media kind of get out to lunch on what a mayor does in Lebanon, because I don't know. People would say, "Well, who's the mayor?" Well, it's John. It's Daly, the Daly machine. That's the who's the mayor? It's it's somebody that's powerful, elected to be the administrative chief executive officer of a local city. And so, our role here, our mayor in the Lebanon City Council system under the charter, how would you describe it?
Well, it's actually more of a chair. In Lebanon, the mayor is elected by the 9 city councilors, and the purpose of the mayor's job is to run the meetings, to follow Robert's rules, to keep order, and to treat all people fairly, so everyone gets a chance to express their thoughts and to speak. No one's given preferential treatment. The mayor has no more power than any single councilor. I, as the mayor, have 1 vote like every other city councilor. And the mayor does sit with the city manager a couple of times a month and works on the agenda so that the items that councilors and the public want to hear about and have aired publicly are brought to the forefront. But basically, the mayor is a ceremonial position in Lebanon other than being the chair of the council. So I am not like Mayor Daley or the mayor of the city of New York. Yeah. It's an unpaid position, as are all city council positions. And it's really very different than what I think many people perceive it to be. There is no power associated with that office.
Yeah, so they went to, Mayor, go tell them to do that. I mean, I think all our councilors are really good about being receptive and good listeners for our members of our community, because they come from the community. Our people are very much grassroots people coming from our community from various walks of life, and they reflect our community, the diversity, all the smartness and the quickness and the creativity and all the desire for sustainability, but also there's a desire to be a very healthy and a place where people can make a living and have livable jobs. And so I like the council because it's such a good cross-section reflection of our community. We also, when you're absent, then we have assistant mayor, and that's Sue Prentice.
Yes.
And that's really delightful to have Sue with us, and so she plays the same role as you do. I think we were talking about earlier, how do we end a year in the holiday season, and I think one of the things, I think it's a touchy season because everyone you kind of feel, sometimes when things happen during the course of the year, you kind of wear it on your sleeve because things happen, and at the end of the year you think about, there's been losses, there's been gains, there's been passages, there's been changes. People's lives are a moving, living thing in our community. I think cities are very organic in terms of natural. Naturally, people want to come together and be together and live together and get along together. And so I thought we'd reflect, and we talked a little bit about reflecting on this last year and just kind of a potpourri of things that may have stood out for you or I, and hopefully we might mention something others might think of during the course of the year that just stand out as something we want to mention. Yeah. Would you like to give it a start in terms of where just... I don't think we're going to be like A to B to Z. I think we're going to bounce around a little bit.
Well, there's a couple things that I can think of, but the one that I think crops up this season is the historical study of the Crafts Avenue neighborhood. When I first moved to Lebanon, there used to be historical society lectures every month or so. And the Historical Society, or I believe it was the Historical Society this year, decided to take on the Crafts Avenue neighborhood, and that neighborhood is going to decorate itself as if it were back in 1964 when it was first created. And so on December 20th at the Kilton Library, there'll be a meeting talking about the history of Crafts Avenue and celebrating its anniversary. I think it's its 50th anniversary this year. So I'm looking forward to that because it's a neighborhood I've walked through. It's in my ward that I represent. And I have some friends who live there. I actually went down in the basement and dug out some of my mom's 1964 Christmas decorations and gave them to one of the residents on Crafts Avenue. So I'll encourage people to take a walk down Crafts Avenue and see if they can figure out which house has our old 1964 decorations in the window.
Nice. I know people were gathering up and getting decorations they had from that era, and somebody was showing me some of those decorations, which were really fascinating. It seems so fragile. Most of our decorations have been broken. I mean, all our different moves in my family, Ruth and I think we've broken all our good decorations. But we had some delightful ones, but they just couldn't stand the moving. But some folks are just exquisite in terms of being able to care for things like those decorations in the house or on the trees, and they have preserved them, and they're showing them in this endeavor of kind of highlighting crafts. We have done one of our walkabouts, which on crafts, and that was very, it's a wonderful street. It's a good feel. There's people with children on that street. There's people that lived on the street for some time. The street feels, it's like, when I'm thinking about it, it goes back so far, and it's experiencing change because the River Park development's on the other end now, and the change is coming there. They've experienced things like speeding cars, and I know I talked to parents about, what can we do about the speeding cars when they want their kids to be able to play, and they're playing in the front yard. And when a child might go after a ball or something into the street, that there is a challenge for the parenting. And I remember well having 3 children how careful I wanted to be careful when I had the children playing in a place where near a yard, near a road, and so you start out with this history, and then you add the presence of walking about and having a major development next door, and people trying to raise their children in that block like they've been raising their children before, and you're having this difficulty of cars. One of my common pet peeves for the year has always been, since I arrived here, is too many people speed. I mean, I told people before that if I had one wish, if I had my Christmas wish for everybody in Lebanon, if you would please slow down. And you know, the speed limit is meant to be a limit. I suggest you drive under the speed limit. And that would drive everybody crazy sometimes, because people are so used to, like, then they'd be tailgating you and doing this. But if we could slow ourselves as a world and slow ourselves with these vehicles, one, we'd save so much dollars and so much harm to others, and so and we would just be a more relaxing place if we could just accommodate our psyche that whether I'm here in 30 minutes or 20 minutes or 10 minutes, in the long course of life, it doesn't really matter. So you slow down. If you please, so if any of you in my Christmas list, please slow down in Lebanon, and please specifically slow down on Crafts Avenue, because it's next to impossible to regulate the speed on Crafts Avenue with the way we have our rules. So let's self-regulate. Let's do the right thing. Don't speed on Crafts Avenue. If I see you speeding on Crafts Avenue, I don't know what I'll do. You know, I might just get medieval on you. But don't be speeding on Crafts Avenue. If we can all do that, that's our Christmas wish for Crafts Avenue. Nobody speeds on Crafts Avenue ever again. The other piece that you mentioned was the Kilton Library, and then I think also the downtown libraries. And one of my thankful things in this year has always been the library experience in the community. I just watch those two libraries, and watch what they're doing, and seeing the difference between. And I talked on the show before about at Christmas time, I often would go visit my grandmother, Eva Lewis. And she was a city librarian, a little city library called Inman, Kansas City Library. And she was librarian there all her life. And she was also the chair of the board of trustees of the library. But she was also, they didn't know conflict of interest in those days. So she was both the librarian, and she was the chair of the trustees who were supposed to oversee the library. But the libraries of Lebanon, it really is if I was going to look at decorations on a tree, beautiful decorations, I would say the decorations of the two libraries in their respective ways are really something I'm thankful for. And this year is the library's continuing march to keep the best of the past, but get the best of the future. And the technology they're using is really exquisite. Their website is really wonderful. They have a librarian that's also a technology person, and that is partnering with the other librarians, and that's added new features to the offerings. Really community centers for us. So I think I just look around our city, and I always see these spots that just jump out. I mean, that other communities don't have libraries like that. Mm-hmm. They have libraries, but they're not like that library.
We are very lucky in Lebanon with our libraries. And I had a librarian mother, so I can identify with the fabulous job the libraries do.
Other things that you think of in this year?
Well, I think the thing I'm probably proudest of is the City Council's Governance Committee decided to look at the structure and organization of some of the City Council itself. You know, we've been trying to get people to run for council, and often the comment is it's too much work, there's too much work. So we've been able to streamline a lot of our efforts this year by going and looking at committees that were established back, some in the 1970s, some in the 80s, some in the 90s, and looking to see whether the jobs they had been assigned to do had been accomplished, and then setting up a task force system so that we can now be much more nimble to get things done. It has lightened the City Council's workload because we have fewer subcommittees for each councilor to serve on. So we can make, for those of you interested in running for City Council, the job effort will be a lot easier. there'll be 2 meetings a month, and then maybe 1 or possibly 2 additional meetings every quarter for other committees. So we're going to be able to, I think, recruit more volunteers. So I'm pretty excited about streamlining that work and making being a city councilor a more enjoyable experience, so more people will want to do it. It really is a lot of fun. I've learned more about sewer pipe diameter and road construction than I ever thought I'd want to know. And it's really very, very interesting. The city employees are fun to work with. It's been a really great experience. So I'm hoping that effort on our part will lead to new people seeking office come next March and every March following that.
I think that's wonderful because I think that I like the idea when the streamlining conversation came up in the governance committee and then into the council about looking at using task forces when we need citizen inputs. So there's a beginning and ending rather than something in perpetuity, because people's lives are very busy these days, and I'd like to see every citizen of Lebanon, every resident of Lebanon, be involved in the city in one way or the other than paying taxes only. Really, I think we'd like to have you involved, but we understand that people, you just can't get on a committee. Well, I'm on this committee, and now no one will get off this committee because I have to stay on this committee. I want to be on this committee the rest of my life, And so some people, even though you might enjoy a committee very much, you might have a really wonderful experience. I don't think that's a way to have the best sustainable community, is to have committees that are stagnant and just the same people forever. And it's kind of, one hand it oppresses them, and on the other hand it's not as representative of our community as possible. Because we need to have rotation. We need to have fresh rotation. I firmly believe that. New ideas, we need to have experience, but then we also have to need new ideas. And so let the persons maybe in this world, they would be better served if we created a task force on a particular subject, beginning, ending, scope, and have measurables, and have staffing appropriate to the task force, rather than committees in perpetuity. There are some state statutes that require certain committees to be in existence. That's another matter. That's state law, state policy, creating the committees. They're very important. We'd like to, that away by focusing on those committees, we can better support those committees, so that better support means that helps them do their job, and that makes their lives easier as members of those statutory committees. So I really like the fact that we did look at that streamlining. I think that was a terrific thing to do. That was nice. I love that.
Well, the other thing I think that's going to help is, for those who haven't looked at our master plan, we have, I don't remember the number, but I think there's 900 things we want to accomplish that are outlined in the master plan. And by having a little more, being more nimble and a little more flexibility, we're going to be able to take on some of those tasks and ideas that we've never been able to before, because we're going to have more citizen energy and more staff energy available to do that. So I'm excited that I think it's going to actually move things forward more rapidly than we might have otherwise. And I've been participating quite a bit recently with the Soldiers Memorial Building, and since we had that committee go to a more open format, where the committee actually went away and now the volunteers just work in the building on their own, they've been open more, they've had more visitors, they're doing more than they ever did before because they're free of the restrictive statutes that kept them from being able to do the things they wanted to do. And I think that building's come alive even more under Bob Terry.
Really, really nicely done. And the building is a jewel. And there's so many. We have so many in our Lebanon Crown. There's so many different jewels, and that Soldier Memorial Building is certainly a jewel. One of the things that spun off of that idea was our partnering with veterans. You and I both are committed because of our family and because of our backgrounds in terms of veterans and people who have served our country. And our partnering goes far and wide. And we have now put on the website this year a veterans page.
That's right.
And the veterans page has a special section devoted to the Soldier Memorial and building. And so it really details how fascinating that building is. And more so, though, that webpage provides resources for veterans. So it is a self-help situation where you link, if you're a veteran, you can link on that page and find all types of services. I met with them in an informal way. The American Legion guys and they like to come over to my place. I like them, and they brought over. They told me they came over to ask me if I wanted to have an American flag designed vest for my bulldog.
Oh, nice.
And they found one, and they found somebody who was going to had a dog, and the dog passed away, and whether I would want to have this. And I said, sure. But that's how they are. So they were in my office, and we were talking about this, and so I think the partnering there on that webpage is very nice, and I talked about us having dialogue and communication, engaging with one another about what should be on the website, and moreover, what should we have in the community that would be supportive of veterans. Because one of the things people say, well, thank you for your service, and I think that's respectful. But I also come to the kind of realization that really, while we do thank you for your service, we really want you to be with us and be part of us today. We want you to be our friend. We want you to be our neighbor. We want you to be our employee. We want you to be on our school board. We want you to be a parent that we parent our children with. We want to be with you, because because sometimes when we came back, there's a sense of alienation because no one can understand a veteran's experience oftentimes, even if it's not a non-veteran. And every veteran has a bit of a different experience. So the way I think, I was listening to this discussion, and it came across to me that the comment that was made about, not only do we want to thank you for service, but we're so thankful you're with us. You're here. We want you to be in Lebanon. We want you to live in Lebanon. We want as many veterans as we can to be in Lebanon. We know how you served, and we know you now as a person you are, and so we value you. We care for you. We don't want any situations. We want to be our brothers and sisters keeper for you as a veteran who is part of us. So I've been really pitching that when I've been talking to people who talk to veterans. I think that's a good thing.
Well, I wanted to throw something in here because I was just talking to someone today. This is a happy season, but for some people, sometimes it's a tough season. And growing up in a military family, a lot of my friends and even we celebrated Christmas at a different time of year. So we did the religious component in December, but we had our Christmas tree some other time of year when our dad, or in this case, nowadays, a mother comes home from service. Yeah. And so in talking with some folks today who were discussing some sad times here in the community, I suggested to them they might want to think about having their Christmas tree a different time of the year and have this time of the year be a time when they celebrate their religion, their faith, and their community. And veterans are strong because of that. They do sometimes have to move holidays around because they're on a ship or in a desert somewhere.
That's a really wonderful thought, because I think that would be very useful to think about, because you really want your family to be together, and you do want that, but because of the nature of the duty, that it can't happen sometimes, and if you could have those special moments together and other special moments in other ways. That's a really nifty idea. I love that idea.
And I think it can help non-military families get through some of the challenges of some of these holiday seasons.
Yeah, because when people experience losses during the year, they start feeling that right now. Mm-hmm. You start feeling that going on. I think that I really commend the city and its residents for its response to the microburst over Slayton Hill, and that people, it has not been an easy process for anyone that lives on Slayton Hill, and then people that live on Dulac, and it hasn't been an easy process for the employees of the Lebanon who've been trying to work it and try to resolve it. But people are just really, they are very, such mature and so stable that they continue to strive. They just have been unceasing at trying to find a way to complete this task. Mm-hmm. And though it seems it takes longer than most of us would like, it has nevertheless been persistent, consistent. It keeps coming. we're going to get it done. It has been worked on quite a bit this year, and it will be completed as soon as the construction season comes around. We're kind of closing up for winter now on Slayton Hill. The people in Dulac have really felt a big impact, but we think we have a concept based on walkabouts with them and the balancing act about other residents using the Dulac Street for other purposes, but we're looking at those residents living there. I think we worked through something that will have the balance and satisfy their needs, and so that's just based on conversation. Again, conversation between among citizens of residents of Lebanon and city representatives and employees. So I'm just happy about that struggle, and I hope it doesn't happen again. But I think we're better prepared for that. And one of the things we'll talk about in the future is an emergency plan for Lebanon and continue working on that. Before we go on to the future, anything else that you would like to reflect on in the past?
Well, I want to thank you for what you've done over in Dulac Street and Slayton Hill, because I think the response by management, by police and fire for the residents there, I've heard nothing but praise for the most part about the way that it was all handled in the last 2 years. And I think back to when I first got in the city council 8 years ago, and the minor things that could explode in our faces, and here was a major disaster that I thought was managed extremely well, considering we'd not had anything like it before, or at least not in my lifetime here in Lebanon. So I wanted to thank you for that, and pass on the thanks of the council to the employees, and also to the people of Slayton Hill and Dulac Street, because I know it has been tough and stressful for all of them, but I agree, I think it's been handled in a very mature way, and it's been pretty civil conversation.
It has been. I mean, and there's some heartfelt issues out there. As we go on to next year, one of the things I'm celebrating about the next coming year is new leadership. Within the city's organization, we've had some really fine veteran leaders, and but there's a passing of the torch. I always think of cities that the cities are in a marathon. And it's actually more than a marathon. It's really a relay marathon. And so our new leadership in public works is congealing. We have added to our professional leadership team, to our public works director, Mike LaBella, 2 assistant public works directors, both who have engineering degrees and extensive experience and background with communities. Bruce Temple, but taken on lots of responsibility with regard to our roads, our bridges, the tunnel alternative project, and then our newest member, Wayne Leonard, who will be taking on wastewater and water, which is his specialty. He actually started out as a plumber when he started out in life, so it's amazing. This guy is amazing because having an engineering degree and all those credentialing he has, but he's really a hands-on great person. So I'm celebrating new leadership, and I guess as we talked a lot about the past, because I kind of enjoyed this year in many ways. And we've got a couple minutes here. So from your perspective, Georgia, in terms of what lies ahead, what comes onto your mind?
Well, we have elections coming up in March, and I'm hoping that there will be some folks in Lebanon who will come down and talk with you and talk with some of the other councilors serving, and make the leap to either join some of our boards or committees, take a run for city council, at least come to the meetings and learn a little more about it. It's actually a lot of fun. We need to have new leadership there. Eventually, those of us who have served can't serve forever. So I'm really hoping we're going to get some new blood with an interest in just understanding how the city works. That's my wish for the coming years. We can get some new interest.
Well, there's an invitation to everybody. Because everywhere we go, really, it's a great thing to serve.
It really is.
And and like I say, it doesn't have to be a perpetuity thing. It really,
it
really can be important that you spend some time together. So I think that's, really fascinating. I think that one overarching thing that has come out of the implementing of the master plan is the idea of trying to decide what the identity will be to fully implement the master plan, and how we can do this in a natural, organic way. So we look at where people settled in Lebanon, in villages in the past, where they're settled now, and how can we ease their lives in the places that they have settled historically, the places they are settling now. So that the destination that they have chosen to be here in Lebanon is the best possible destination for themselves, for their family, and for their future well-being, and developing those villages in a way that meets all our outcome levels, have them be economically vital, have them be sustainable and resilient to stand up to whatever is dealt with us. It's a challenging world with weather, with environment, with political change. To make sure we keep on our physical responsibility toes and make sure that we keep it safe. We just keep it safe. We want to keep it safe here. And all that means excellent planning. And so excellent planning is not throw out everything with the bathwater, but rather to recognize the history, the preservation, the conservation, and still pursue economic vitality. That will be the kind of economic vitality that the community wishes to have. So we try to exercise more proactivity rather than just allow it to happen and then figure it out. Let's try to be more proactive in what we are. And I think that's going to be part of the implementation of the master plan. It's been going on for a while, but I think it's quite a challenge. Closing thought?
I just hope everybody has a wonderful holiday and a very Merry Christmas.
Same here, same here. Have the best of holidays. I will be finishing off the eggnog, and George and I have some cookies. Both of us are probably trying to be healthy, so I think we better quit it, but we will. We hope you all out there have a healthy and a holiday of well-being, and take good care of each other. And remember, we got to pull together in Lebanon to move forward, and that's the way we can do it. Thank you. Happy holidays.
Thank you, Mr. Manager.